Sonya. So we're all kind of in a little bit of a weird situation in the world, honestly. So many countries are going through the same thing that America is, probably worse. I know you think about Italy, you think about Germany, but we are right on kind of the uphill battle with coronavirus and COVID-19, however you want to say it. And one of the things that we're really struggling with here in America is finding basic necessities in our grocery stores. There's the big joke about toilet paper, and people are having trouble finding eggs and milk, diapers, things like that. One of the things that I found that we struggled a little bit with to find is good bread. Now, my family was fortunate enough to have lived in Germany for about 3.5 to 4 years. And one of the things about Europe that I discovered is they have fantastic bread. Came back to America and I realized that it's a little bit harder to find a French baguette in some of the rural areas of America. I happen to live in rural Michigan and it took a long time to find a really good baguette where I live. So I just started making them. So today that's what I'm going to be doing for you in this video. Now again, I'm not a vlogger, okay? I'm not somebody who's going to look really gorgeous on an iPhone, and I'm not going to be fake with you. If I mess up, I'm going to let you know that's messed up. So we're going to give it our best shot. I happen to have a baguette recipe that I absolutely love, and I'm going to go ahead and give credit to Paul Hollywood. A lot of people know him from the Great British Baking Show. I always get tongue-tied when I say that. Great British Baking Show. You can find it on Netflix, and I highly recommend it. It's an excellent show, and we're going to be making his baguettes today. So in my bowl here, I have 250 grams of strong bread flour. You can find this in any grocery store. It's gonna say bread flour on it. You need bread flour for this one. Okay, I've also got this on my mixer. I've got a dough hook because we're gonna be kneading it first in our bowl, okay? Next up, we're going to add 5 grams of just basic salt. It's just table salt, okay? Here's the thing though, you wanna put it on one side of your bowl, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Do not drop it down the middle. Put it on the side. It's on my left side. Did you catch that? All right. Next up, we need 5 grams of fast action yeast. You can use just good old-fashioned yeast, you know, the slower stuff. It's gonna take a lot longer. I do recommend getting the fast action. You can find it right next to the other yeast. It's the exact same price. Get it for this, get it for a lot of your bread. Let's call it, I mean, it's the bomb. Get the fast action, especially pizza dough. It's fantastic with pizza dough. Now, do you remember my salt is on my left, right? The yeast is gonna go on the right. Now here's why. Salt will actually kill yeast. You do not want to put them on top of each other. This is an important thing. Salt feeds off of sugar, yeast feeds off of sugar. Salt will kill your yeast. Do not put them together until they are mixed in with your flour. Your bread will not rise, you will be super disappointed, and it's a waste of time. Don't do it. Now, I'm gonna just take the dough hook and I'm just gonna mix this together. If you have a lot of flour in your bowl, do not turn it up fast. If you've ever used a mixer and flour, you probably know this. If you haven't, do not turn it on fast. All that flour will go in your face. All right. We're looking good. I'm gonna give it a little bit of help just with a spoon, just a good old-fashioned spoon, kind of mix that in a little bit, just because there's not a ton in here. I'm actually doing a half recipe of his because his recipe, if you find it online, will make 4 baguettes, and that's a lot for my family. We will make 2. We cut everything in half. Okay, so that is all mixed, right? We're gonna turn the mixer on at its slowest speed. Right here, I have 185 milliliters of cool water. Now you're asking yourself, why is she not using hot water with yeast? I do not want to rush my yeast. Yes, I have the fast action yeast, but if I start putting hot water in it, it's gonna pump it up a little bit faster. Now, yes, it will rise faster, but you are not gonna get the texture for the baguette and the inside, that nice, soft, with the crunchy outside. You're not gonna get that if you rush it. So use cool water, not cold, cool, okay? Room temperature, maybe a little bit cooler. That's about what mine is. It's a little colder than room temperature, and it's fine. It's perfect, trust me. So we're gonna turn our mixer on at our slowest speed, and we're gonna add 3/4 of the water. We're not gonna throw it all in, and you wanna add it slowly. eyeball it. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's, sure. Okay, we're gonna turn it up slightly. And we're gonna listen, because your mixer is gonna tell you when it's time to add the rest of your water. You start to hear it kind of changing its tune. It's gonna get a little bit more desperate. It's gonna start having a harder time mixing that dough. There it is, you hear it? Struggling a little more, that flour's adding, and now there's not enough water to handle the flour and the dough that's in there. So we're gonna slow it down a little bit more, and I'm gonna dump the rest of this in there. There we go, all of my water is in. Take my dishes, and get them out of the way, all right? Now, we're gonna, okay, so now what is happening, let me just show you. I've got this in a ball. It's kind of hard to see it, but you can see it a little bit. Can you see it right here? It's kind of started grouping up in a ball. I am gonna let my mixer go to town on this for about 5 to 7 minutes. I'm gonna turn it up to a medium, and I'm gonna let it do a lot of the work. Can you knead this by hand? Absolutely you can, okay? A lot of people would say, please do. I have found that I have a good enough mixer that it will do a lot of the work for me. Do I like kneading dough? Yeah, I like kneading dough. It's a lot of fun. But the mixer is gonna do a nice job at a quicker pace for me. So I'm gonna let it do that for about 5 to 7 minutes. So we're gonna let it do its work, and I'll come right back. All right, it looks to me like we're there, guys. Okay, so my dough is stringy. My dough has it's still in a ball. If you look at it, take a look at it. See, it's still in a ball, but baguette dough is gonna be a little bit wet, okay? You're gonna see that it's kind of grouping up on the bottom, but it's starting to get that smooth texture, all right? And now I'm gonna dump it out of my bowl. I had a little bit of this self-rising flour, I'm sorry, not self-rising, the bread flour on my hands, okay? That's what I've got here in this bowl. I have also sprinkled it onto my board, just a light, because you don't want to over-flour your baguette. It will get heavy, it will not be delicious and airy. Do not over-flour, work it. Work it before you add more flour and see if you can get it together with your hands. Most of the time you can. I have taken my rings off. I do have a little bit of a little cut from this morning. Have no idea how it happened, but I put a Band-Aid on my hand. Make sure you're covering up any injuries. Yes, that's a frozen, you probably can't tell, but that's a frozen Band-Aid because I have 2 children. So, we do little girl stuff. All right, move my bowl out of the way. Now, if you have never kneaded dough before, there are techniques, a couple rules of thumb with kneading. You're gonna use your palm of your, or like the heel kind of part of your palm of your hand and push it out. You're gonna push it out like that and bring it back with your fingers. Understand? So, push it out, bring it back. Push it out, bring it back. There are other ways that you can work dough, especially tougher doughs. This is a softer dough. I'm gonna be a little bit nicer to it. Recently, I made just a good old-fashioned white slice bread with my daughter. We braided it. We did the 8-plat, which if anybody knows who Paul Hollywood is, you know the 8-plat dough. We tried that. It was awesome. It was super fun. But that is a tougher dough. I was able to pick it up and I was throwing it all over the place and showing her that you can really be a little bit rough with that dough. This one's a little softer. You want to be nicer to it. So we're going to work it a little bit. It's not going to need a lot because the mixer did a lot of my work. Now, can you overwork this dough? You can. It would take a lot. Don't worry about that too much. What we're going for is getting that gluten going, okay? That's what we're doing. We are working that gluten, trying to get it to do its job. Gluten is what makes up bread. It gives that delicious, crusty softness. Gluten is so important to bread, so if you can't have gluten, do not make this bread. It is gluten. Okay, starting to get a little too soft, sticking to me a little bit. We're now just a little bit more flour, and I'm gonna work it, and I'm gonna shut up. The rolling technique. I like this technique, except I always get dough all over my watch, and I always forget to take my watch off. I end up cleaning my watch. I also should have pulled my hair back. That would have been an intelligent thing to do. But I have terrible ears. Isn't that stupid? But I never wear my hair back. I have the worst ears ever. All right, we are feeling nice and soft. Let's take a look. See, got dough on my hand. All right, let's take a look at it. It's looking really good. It's feeling sort of soft like a baby's bottom. That's one way that you can know that your bread is done. Another way, and I'm gonna show you, this one's a little tougher. It's a little trick I learned, again, on that show. I actually went to culinary school for a little bit, and I took some baking classes, and they used to talk about the window pane test, and I had no idea what it is. I'm gonna show you. So what you do is you kind of take your dough, pull a piece of it up, and just stretch it out. What you're looking for is you want to be able to see through your bread and see the gluten forming. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but look, so it's not tearing on me, it's holding its shape, and all of those strands are formed. My dough is done. I'm gonna bring it one more time into a bowl. Okay, and right here, I have just a basic, good old-fashioned storage thing for my kitchen. What are these called? Help me out, husband. Tupperware, just a Tupperware, little storage container that I have sprayed olive oil in. I have a little sprayer for my olive oil. I pour the olive oil in, pump it, and you spray it. Anyway, so this is covered and sprayed in just a light coating of olive oil. I'm gonna take my dough. I'm not even going to, let me see, do I do that? You know what, we're not going to. I'm literally gonna take my dough, and there it goes. I have a lid for this. I am gonna go ahead and cover it. What we're waiting for is we're waiting for this to double in size. With that fast action yeast and the cool water, it's gonna take about an hour. It is better to leave it for an hour and a half at least, if you can. Check it within an hour. If it's doubled in size, you're fine. But if you have time, leave it for an hour and a half. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna stick it right over here in a little warm spot with no airflow. It's a warmer spot in my house. Preferably 70 to 75 degrees if you can for your dough. That's what will help it build best, okay? And we're gonna look at it in an hour and a half. Hey everybody, so we're back. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes, but my dough looks really, really good. If you look at it, it has roughly doubled in size, which is what we're looking for, yay! So now I'm going to lightly flour my surface to turn it out, okay? I also want to tell you guys a little bit about what I have here. So traditionally, and I think most of the time, at least in France, they use what's called a linen couche for this next step, okay? I do not have a linen couche. I have in the past used just a good old-fashioned linen towel, okay? Not one that's real thick. This one right here that I have here, that I'm gonna get my flour all over, is not a good idea, okay? It's got too much texture. Your dough's gonna stick to it. It's not gonna work real great when you're trying to move it. Okay, but if you have a lighter kind of smoother towel, that's gonna work for you just fine. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes, okay? Right now though, let's go ahead and let's get our dough out. Give it a little help. There it is. And I like it because it's gonna retain a lot of the shape that you use. That's why getting a square container like this is fantastic. Also, I think a lot of us have something similar to this in our kitchen. So, now, I forgot to grab my, conveniently it's right there. This is our dough divider. It's a, Rachel Ray uses them to scrape her food up and things like that. I use mine to separate my dough. So, as you can see, it's kind of in this little square rectangle thing, and you're gonna just cut it in half, because we're doing 2, right? If you do the full recipe, you're gonna wanna cut it into 4. Okay, we are separating our dough now. All right, got them in half. Move that one out of the way. Get this out of the way. It's got all that beautiful air in it. Go ahead and push that air down. Okay, get all that air out. Yes, it's always silly to me when you push the air out and you're like, man, but that's all my hard work. Trust me, it's not ruining it, okay? Now, we are going to form our baguettes. All right, I have a tendency to overextend them, get them too long. So if I'm doing that, just give me a holler, yell at me. We're looking for about a foot long to 14 inches of baguette. You see them really long other places, that's fine. You wanna try to do that, add more dough, all the things, okay? Play with it, see what you can do. We're gonna aim for 1 foot to 14 inches today. So here we go. I've got it kind of in a rectangle. I've taken it, patted the air out, and I've got it in a little bit of a rectangle, right? Grab the front end, or the top end, fold it over this, and now you're gonna have this beautiful crease. See it? I hope you guys can see that. That is gonna be the bottom of our baguette, okay? And now you put your hands in the middle, give it just a little bit of pressure, and you're gonna roll it to your desired length. A baguette traditionally has this little pointy end, and if you do it correctly, it will do it for you, okay? I'm almost there, guys. That's how easy that was. Look at that. I'm almost there. I probably could be there. I think I should stop before my husband yells at me because I went too long. But look how beautiful, right? It's gorgeous. All right, so now I've got that one formed. This is when my baguette pan or your linen couche or your towel come in handy. You see how it's got the dividers. This is really important, especially if you're trying to use a towel. Make sure you put something in there, and here's why. So go ahead and flour. This dough is a sticky dough, okay guys? Sticky dough attracts other sticky dough. You put them next to each other and think that they're gonna stay separate, you are fooling yourself. Your baguettes will run together. You have got to keep them separate. You also want to keep it fairly tight, okay? You want your baguette to grow up, not out in this next rest, because we're gonna let it rest another hour to hour and a half. This one you could probably go a little bit shorter. The first rise is the most important. Second rise is just to give it a little bit more help, all right? But we want it up, not out. Cool? So we've got our first baguette. This part is the part that I hate. I hate moving my baguette. Hate it. It loses its shape. It tends to get stretched, but you just kind of do your best to reform it when you get in there. By the way, did you see I put my hair back? Live it, learn it. All right, so we've got one. We've got one of our baguettes. Let's grab the other, push it down, give it a little bit of help, get that air out, knocked out. Grab the top, fold it over, roll it out. Oh, that air is really wanting to stay in this one. There we go. There it is. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, y'all. All right, and now we move it over. You gotta be real gentle because again, it's stretchy dough. It likes to go to crazy. And that one got a little long, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. Again, keeping it real. Real life, y'all. Real life. Okay, there they are. Real easy. And now we let it sit. We're gonna cover it with a towel that you're okay getting dirty. It's got flour. You're gonna let them sit for an hour to an hour and a half. So, see you later. Okay, everybody, so it's been about an hour and a half. Yeah, I fed my family, we did lunch and the whole thing, and while we were doing that, my bread was hopefully growing. So let's take a look and see what we got. Yeah, look at that. See? So yes, it is going to grow a little bit this way because it's rising and all that, but mostly it grew up. Up, not out. Yay! Up, not out. Now, in a second, you're going to hear my oven go beep, 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 and that means that it is preheated to 465 degrees. Let me show you something else, though. If you look in my oven, which is dirty, but again, we're real, so there's an empty, there it is, there's an empty pan down there. Now, if you've ever made baguettes, you know this little trick. The trick to the pan is we are actually going to steam our bread while we're cooking it. It's a fun, handy little trick. So, we're gonna grab this water really quick and get that going while we're prepping our baguettes. But here we go. Hang on, I don't wanna burn myself, so we're gonna grab my little moppy. Thank you, Rachel Ray. I love this thing. It's fantastic. I never burn my arms anymore. Here we go. Woo! 465 degrees, y'all. That's hot. Okay, that pan is scorching hot. I've had it in there the entire time that I've been preheating. We are not touching it. But check it, here we go. That's steam, baby. Feel free to fill it up. You want that steam, okay? I just put probably, about 4.5 cups into this little pan. If you have a bigger pan, it's no big deal. You just need something with water. Okay? There we go. Close it, steam away. Now, we're ready for that. We're good to go. Let's grab our baguette, and I'm gonna bring it over here. It's a little bit, thank you. Off-screen help, I love it, thank you. All right, so, there's an actual tool that I should know the name of, and I don't. What is it?
A lame.
A lame, thank you. That is used for baguettes, because as you know, if you've ever seen a baguette, if you've ever made a baguette, if you've ever eaten a baguette, there are cuts on the top of the baguette. Why are there cuts? Bread is going to release. I have 2 children in the other room. Ignore the cries. Again, we are real at Goodness, Grace, and Guidance. That has to release the steam, right? It has to go somewhere. If you do not put the cuts on the top, you're gonna have it out the sides, you're gonna have it out the bottom, and your baguette is gonna be messed up. We really want those pretty 4 cuts on our baguette. Now, I don't have a lame. I have a very clean straight razor, okay? You can find these at any hardware store, you can find them at Target or Walmart, they're everywhere. You have to be obviously very careful, keep them away from children, they are extremely sharp. I use this one specifically for my baguettes, and I clean it and I wash it and I keep it sharp. It's my baguette straight razor. So what you want to do is you're going to do 4 cuts per baguette. Okay, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie. This is one of the harder parts of making this. It's getting those cuts deep enough that you're not going to pump out the sides. Okay, you don't want that steam out the side. I like to go over it a couple times just to make sure it's deep enough. You don't want it all the way through your bread. Obviously that will not work, but you do want it deep enough that the steam knows where to go. It will guide it. All right? There we go. That's looking good, actually. You want it this kind of diagonal, what is that, a 45 degree, I think? I was never very good at geometry. Don't judge. But there we go, see? This is another thing I really like about this pan. I'm physically going to bake my bread right here. I don't ever have to touch it again until it's done baking, okay? That means I'm not releasing that air again. All right, I love this pan. The cooches are awesome too, but I found that I was knocking them loose and I was having to reform them and it was just a mess. So we found this pan on Amazon. It was not expensive. So you can look it up. It's a baguette pan. Go on Amazon. Try to go on Smile Amazon and go give a little bit to an organization that you love and care about. Anyway, okay, so these are ready to go. They each have 4 cuts on the top. They are ready to go. I've got a preheated oven. It's steaming. Here we go. Try not to burn myself. There we go. Ooh, you can see that steam. Okay. These are going to go in there for 20 minutes minimum. Mine take 25 to 30. Start with 20, and we'll take a look at what they look like throughout the time, okay? Here we go. Cook them up, babies. I want to show you guys what that steam is doing. Look at this. Watch this. Oh, come on, do it. Oh, there. There's my steam. I just barely opened my oven. You can see it steaming. Let's take a look at the babies. We are about halfway. And they're looking good. You can see that steam going. They're looking really good. We're gonna let them bake. Keep going, babes. Okay, everybody, so it has been about 23 minutes. So for me, that's pretty common. We're gonna check on our bread. I did go ahead and take it off the pan because I like for my bottom to be a little bit crisper. That's completely up to you and how you decide to do it. Took it off about, I don't know, 4 minutes ago, and I like the bottom to get a little bit more done. There we go. What do you think? Looking good? I think it looks good. All right, let's get these out. Close my oven. All right. Now, baguettes are special, and the reason that you do the steam is because you want this. Can you hear that? Ooh, it's hot. But that crunch, that sound that it's just so quintessential baguette means it's crunchy on the outside and it's soft and awesome on the inside. This is the sound you want. This is the color that you want, guys. Oh, yeah, I should tap it. Okay. Also, anytime you're baking bread, there's a sound that you want to hear, okay? So we're going to, it sounds hollow, okay? If it sounds hollow, it's done. Take it out. You don't want your bread overcooked. So guys, I think that's it. Maybe let's cut into one and just check it out. What do you think?
Cool.
It is hot. So here we go. Gosh, they are so pretty. So happy. I love baking bread. bacon bread is awesome. It is so much fun. Woo, golly, it's hot. Hang on. There it is. We got our air. See these big old bubbles? Got that beautiful crust on the outside that's got that beautiful sound to it. Guys, that is what you're looking for when you're making a homemade French baguette. I hope you loved it. I hope you guys try this at home. If you need the recipe, go to, just look up on Google, Paul Hollywood's baguette. You can go to PBS or BBC. They will also have them. Give it a shot. It's delicious. And then you don't have to go to the store in this crazy quarantine. Have a great day, y'all. Thanks for hanging out.